The call came at 12:04 a.m., and I almost didn't answer it. I'd been staring at the switchboard for 6 hours straight, my eyes burning under the fluorescent hum of the hospital's communications room. Outside, Miami was doing what Miami always does in July, sweating through the dark, the air thick enough to chew. I was Nina Reeves, 27 years old, night shift operator at Coastal General Hospital, and I was 3 sips into my second terrible cup of vending machine coffee when line 4 lit up. "Coastal General, how may I direct your call?" Silence, not the silence of a bad connection. Something else, deliberate. "Hello?" I tried again. "I have a question." The voice was male, calm in a way that felt rehearsed. "How do you make someone feel better when they're frightened?" I blinked. We got strange calls on the night shift. Confused elderly patients, panicked parents, the occasional sleepwalker who somehow dialed a hospital instead of their spouse. I shifted into patient mode. "Of course, sir. Can I ask your name?" "Marcus." "Okay, Marcus. Is this person a family member? A friend?" A pause, then, "We only met tonight, about 90 minutes ago." Another pause. "I don't actually know her name yet." The coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. "She's frightened, you said?" "Terrified." He said it like a compliment. "She's shaking." It's fascinating, actually, the way fear moves through a body. My hand found a pen, instinct. "Marcus, where are you right now?" He laughed softly. The sound made the hair on my forearms stand up. "Somewhere quiet. We needed privacy." She didn't agree at first, but she's calmer now. "Can I speak with her?" "No." Flat final. "She's not available." A sound then, muffled, wet, coming through the line. Not words. Something worse than words. My fingers were already moving across the keyboard. "Pulling up address locators." Emergency dispatch protocols. My supervisor had gone home at 11. It was just me. "Marcus." I kept my voice absolutely neutral. "You mentioned she's scared. Is she hurt?" "Not yet." A beat. "I'm trying to prevent that. That's why I called you." "A hospital. I thought you'd have advice." "Not yet." I asked him to describe his surroundings. He described them, willingly, almost proudly. "Somewhere near the edge of the city," he said, "away from traffic." He mentioned a perimeter fence and a building with no other lights on. While he spoke, I was typing the details into our emergency relay system, flagging it priority, watching the cursor blink. "There are so many interesting things out here," Marcus said suddenly. "Did you know that security cameras at remote facilities often go unwatched for hours? People trust technology." Cold water. "Marcus, I'd like to help this woman, but I need to know she's safe first." He made a sound, a low hum, almost thoughtful. "She's lying down now. She struggled for a while." I didn't enjoy that part. His voice dropped. "Actually, that's not entirely true." The relay system pinged. "Location approximated, Westfield Industrial Annex, 16 kilometers northwest. An old facility on the edge of a commercial cemetery complex. Minimal staff. Minimal traffic." I dispatched the units and kept him on the line. He talked for 11 more minutes. He described her the way someone describes a painting. Removed. Aesthetic, clinical. He described his own hands. He described the silence of the building around him. At no point did he sound angry or rushed or unhinged. That was the worst part. He sounded like a man enjoying a quiet evening. The last thing he said before hanging up was, "Thank you for listening, Nina." I hadn't told him my name. The responding officers reached the location in 19 minutes. What they found in the security booth of Westfield Annex took 3 of them off active rotation for a week. I won't describe everything. I'll say this. The woman who worked that booth had been on shift. Since 10 p.m. she'd been alive when Marcus called me. She was not alive when the paramedics arrived. My supervisor sat with me. Until 4 a.m. he kept saying I'd done everything right. I'd logged the call correctly. I'd dispatched quickly. I'd kept him talking. I nodded every time he said it. But I kept replaying those 11 minutes, searching for the moment I should have moved faster. The moment the word "yet" should have detonated in my chest like a flare. I found it. I always found it. About 40 seconds in, when he'd said "not yet," and I'd paused for 3 full seconds before responding. 3 seconds. I drove home at 5 a.m. through streets that were just beginning to gray at the edges. I checked my locks twice. I showered with the bathroom door open so I could hear the apartment around me. I didn't sleep. 8 nights later, I was back at the switchboard. I'd been offered leave. I'd declined. The counselor the hospital assigned me said staying busy was a valid coping mechanism. Said it with the careful neutrality of someone who wasn't sure they believed it. I told her I was fine. I mostly meant it. The shift was brutal. A 4-car accident on the interstate. 2 cardiac alerts, a pediatric code that resolved. Thank God before midnight. By 12:30 a.m., I was running on synthetic caffeine and the particular clarity that only exhaustion provides. The communications room was empty except for me. My supervisor was in a meeting down the hall. The building hummed its institutional hum around me. Line 2 lit up at 12:41 a.m. Coastal General, how... Do you remember me? The voice entered my body like something physical, like a drop in barometric pressure. My vision sharpened at the edges. I said nothing. Nina. He said my name the same way he had 8 days ago, casually, proprietary. You've been tired this week. I can hear it. My hand moved toward the emergency relay panel. Slowly. Keep him talking. Keep him talking. You're wearing that green cardigan again, Marcus said. The one with the small tear on the left cuff. You keep pulling at it. You've been doing that for the last hour. The relay panel was 18 inches from my hand. It felt like 18 miles. The mole, he continued, just below your right ear. I noticed it the first time, but I wasn't sure from the angle. Now I'm certain. I stood up. The communications room had one interior window, a long, narrow strip of reinforced glass, overlooking the hospital's administrative corridor. From where I stood, I could see the corridor was empty. The lights were the flat institutional white of every hospital. Hallway at 1 a.m., nothing moved. I sat back down, forced myself to breathe through my nose. Marcus. My voice came out steadier than I deserved. Where are you? Close, he said. I've been watching you work. You're very focused, very professional. A pause. You should have called the police sooner last week. I want you to know I don't blame you. These things take time to process. The relay panel. My fingers found the edge of it. I've been thinking about you, he continued, wondering what you'd sound like frightened. Whether you'd be quiet or loud. Some people go very quiet. He sounded genuinely curious. The woman last week was quiet. Almost immediately, I hit the silent emergency alert. A single button. No sound on my end. No sound on his. Keep him on the line. Every second the signal travels. Every second I keep him talking. Is a second the building security team is moving toward the communications room. You called a hospital, I said. Last time and now, why? A long pause. Then, with what sounded like genuine pleasure, because someone has to hear it. These things should be witnessed. The whole point of a thing is that someone knows it happened. And you want me to witness. I want you specifically, Marcus said. You stayed professional. You kept your voice level. Most people break. You didn't. Another pause. I find that compelling. The corridor outside my window remained empty. I watched it the way you watch a dark street for headlights, willing movement into the stillness. Nina, his voice dropped to something almost intimate. I've already been inside the building tonight. I want you to know that. I came in through the maintenance access on the south side. I watched you handle the cardiac alerts. You have a very particular way of transferring calls. You always confirm the extension twice. Did you know that? My mouth went dry. I want to meet properly, Marcus said. I think we'd have interesting things to discuss. The corridor erupted. 3 security officers appeared at a run. I could see them through the narrow window. Moving fast, one of them speaking into his radio. Behind them, 2 shapes in street clothes I recognized as plainclothes police. Someone had flagged my alert faster than I'd expected. Marcus heard something. A shift in my breathing, maybe. The absence of something. Nina. They're already here, I said. I hit the alert 4 minutes ago. Silence. Then, a sound I will never fully describe. Not rage, not panic. Something rearranging itself. The line went dead. They found him in the maintenance corridor on the building's south side, exactly where he said he'd entered. He was calm when they took him down. He didn't run. He looked directly at the camera above the exit door as the officers approached. Looked at it with an expression that the lead detective later described to me as satisfied. He was a former hospital administrator from another city. He'd been dismissed 2 years prior following complaints from female staff. After that, he had simply vanished from the record. His real name was not Marcus. And you want me to witness? I want you specifically, Marcus said. You stayed professional. You kept your voice level. Most people break. You didn't. Another pause. I find that compelling. The corridor outside my window remained empty. I watched it the way you watch a dark street for headlights, willing movement into the stillness. Nina, his voice dropped to something almost intimate. I've already been inside the building tonight. I want you to know that. I came in through the maintenance access on the south side. I watched you handle the cardiac alerts. You have a very particular way of transferring calls. You always confirm the extension twice. Did you know that? My mouth went dry. I want to meet properly, Marcus said. I think we'd have interesting things to discuss. The corridor erupted. 3 security officers appeared at a run. I could see them through the narrow window. Moving fast, one of them speaking into his radio. Behind them, 2 shapes in street clothes I recognized as plainclothes police. Someone had flagged my alert faster than I'd expected. Marcus heard something. A shift in my breathing, maybe. The absence of something. Nina. They're already here, I said. I hit the alert 4 minutes ago. Silence. Then, a sound I will never fully describe. Not rage, not panic. Something rearranging itself. The line went dead. They found him in the maintenance corridor on the building's south side, exactly where he said he'd entered. He was calm when they took him down. He didn't run. He looked directly at the camera above the exit door as the officers approached. Looked at it with an expression that the lead detective later described to me as satisfied. He was a former hospital administrator from another city. He'd been dismissed 2 years prior following complaints from female staff. After that, he had simply vanished from the record. His real name was not Marcus. He'd been at the cemetery annex the night the guard died. He'd been at my hospital for the last 6 nights. The detective told me this at 3 a.m. while I sat in an office with a paper cup of water I couldn't drink. He told me the evidence was solid. He told me I'd done everything right. I nodded. I still work the night shift at Coastal General. Different communications room now, different floor. There's a security officer stationed outside the door from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. My supervisor replaced the narrow corridor window with a solid wall. Some nights the switchboard is quiet for long stretches, and I sit in that silence and listen to the building around me. The ventilation, the distant elevator, the particular way a hospital breathes at 2 a.m. My supervisor says I should consider the day shift. Better for work-life balance, he says. I always tell him I prefer the nights. What I don't tell him is the real reason. In the dark, I can see what's coming. The lit-up lines, the silent alerts, the shapes moving in corridors. In the daylight, everything is already too bright to read.
Gasporca hatunumun canına kastetti ya, şeytanla oyun kursa bile karşısına çıkacak.
Orhan tuzağını başına yıkacak Asporca. Göreceğiz.
Abi yine söyle. Ondan böyle Osmanoğullarıyla cenkteyiz.
Osmanlı'nın sillesi o meydanı size dar eyleyecektir.
Seni neyin içine soktum böyle baba?
Sen bu cendereden nasıl kurtulacaksın ona kafa yor.
Daha geçen gün ettiklerin, bir de bugün olanlar. Ne oldu sana?
Bir melek dokundu sanki hayatıma.
Destur Yiğit Bey.
Ablam nerede?
Bilmem. Belki de ölmüştür.
Demek Şahinşah Bey de aramızda.
Gayrı size ne diz çöktürürüm, ne boyun eğdiririm. Kalleşlik edenin başı da, dizi de pusatıma helaldir.